it now just to be sure because, yeah, so we got little squiggly. See, we have little squiggly lines.
We have squiggly lines in a live audience. Hello.
Hi, folks.
We're here. Of course, I don't believe we're here until I get validation of my existence. Are we the tree that fell in the forest or not? Do we make a sound? How do I know until somebody tells me? I don't know. I'm also in a mood today, so that ought to make things interesting. So, and we've got lovely people here in the live chat already. Yep. I love it.
9 of y'all just hanging out there waiting on us. Wow.
I know. 10.
10 now. Okay.
10. Yes, we can see it all. We know. So, let's start by saying some hellos. Hello, Amy. Hello, Liz. Hello, Mr. Spock. Hello, Silent Wing. Hello, Path Girl. And I'm really sorry you're feeling bad today, but I'm glad you can watch us, so that's kind of weird. Hi, Eva. Hi, Aria. Hi, Amy.
Hi, folks.
See, I think you just do that on purpose. You just let me do all that. And then you swoop in like, oh, I know how to be concise. I'm a man of few words. It's part of my dark, cool, mysterious, domly ways.
Says the woman of many words.
Well, yeah, I made an entire career on it.
You did.
Hi, Wendy. Hi, Ken. Hi, Alyssa. Hi, Willow.
Hi, Willow.
Hi, Paige. See, I like to say hello to people, especially because there comes a point where I have to completely ignore the live chat, and y'all could be like sending up very important information, and I won't know because I'm off in my own world. Hi, Velvet Sky. Well, hi. We would rather you be here too, but thanks for saying hi. So, this is the butt rub portion. If you arrive later, you should fast forward by 3 or 4 minutes. And I think we forgot to do an intro last time we tried to do this. So let's remember, my name is Kayla Lords.
And I'm John Brownstone.
This is the Loving BDSM channel, podcast, website, thing, entity that we created to help people have happy, healthy, power exchange relationships. Ta-da!
Yeah.
I'm getting better. I mean, it only took 5 years for me to figure out the elevator pitch. 5 years. We just, in the podcast intro, thank God for you, we're like, oh yeah, by the way, by the end of the month of August, we'll be on
August
our
27th.
5th anniversary. I knew it was, I thought we had either passed it, and I went, well, it's 2020, what does time even mean anymore? And then I was like, wait, has it not arrived yet? Well, and normally we make August a month-long celebration, and we have not.
Yeah, I actually thought about it 2 days ago, and then it slipped my mind again, because time just has no freaking meaning anymore.
No, it has no meaning at all.
And, then it came back to me this morning, so I looked it up.
And you know, Liz, I think that many people would probably get a lot of entertainment out of the butt rub section, but I also get a lot of snarky comments about, can't you just get to the point? I'm like, well, you are clearly new here if you think I'm capable of ever just getting to the point. I mean, it's
eventually.
I don't know. Is it a regional thing? Like, even though I get very impatient with small talk, I'm not good with small talk. I'm really like, this I can do. In physical person, it's very difficult, but it is to me a little bit of a kind of a cultural thing, the way I was raised, that you chit chat for a little bit. Like, to just get to the point, where the way I was raised is like the height of rudeness. Like, you are clearly abrupt and like you're too much in a rush. Slow down. It's hot and humid here in the South. We're just going to sit on the veranda and drink iced tea and chat a minute. And that's sort of that, even though we did not live that life and I've never had a veranda in my life, that was the way I was sort of raised, that you ease into things. And so it feels very natural to do that now because I control it, because it's a microphone and a camera. I hate small talk in person. But I don't know. Thank you, Silent Winged. I'm here for the banter too.
See?
And thank you, Megan. Yes, we unveiled this in our Friday night hangout last week, but it is now officially here. Yes, there is a glaring blank spot in this one. That's because we're hoping to get more stickers and fill it the fuck up. And then we already have some postcards and cards up that we have received, and some we've purchased. I purchased that one from a kinky artist. That one was sent to us from Kink Crate. We purchased that one. Yeah. So the background is up. Liz, you're right. We get to the point when we get to it. That is right. That is so right. No, I agree, Aria. And yeah, Mr. Spock, August does not feel like a celebration month either, just in general.
Yeah.
I think because of some of the other things we've got going on that hopefully we'll unveil like September, October time, maybe that will be our celebration. Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Oh, let's see. Oh, Path Girl. I don't know who you're talking about, Path Girl. If it's me, I don't know. But if it's not me, okay. Hi, Kara. Yay! Congratulations for university.
Yay.
Ooh, Amy, what do you think of Kink Crate? We've not gotten one of those in a while. Thank you, Willow. See, we're breaking barriers here. When the New Englander who normally has zero time for all that, like, easing into shit, and the Southerner can come together and find the butt rub bonus section happy medium, we've done something. Yeah. I'm just making shit up. Y'all, I'm in such a fucking mood today. I'm kind of glad that we're doing kind of a fun topic, because I'm in such a fucking mood.
See, aren't you glad I...
Yes, you were the one who was supposed to be in the mood, but yeah, it's fine. Okay, it is officially 12:30 according to the clock on our computer. So before you push the magic buttons, I do the YouTube-y stuff. Remember the YouTube-y stuff? Oh, it was 1 week off, I know. You want to push the button so bad. Look at you. Your hands are poised. You're rubbing them gleefully in that cool, calm, Domly way. Right? Okay, so normal stuff. If you end up enjoying this and we don't scare you off too much, we love a thumbs up. If you want more of it, we'd love for you to subscribe. We have arbitrary goals, and at arbitrary goals, we do weird, long live streams. We're way away from our next arbitrary goal, but we have them. We do have a Patreon if you want to help us do more of what we do and get extra stuff, like we do a monthly live Q&A live stream, monthly bonus podcast, sneak peeks, blah blah blah. Link for that is in the description box, but it's patreon.com/KaylaLords. The shirts we're wearing, one shirt was gifted and one shirt was purchased. So my #babygirl shirt is not available for purchase anywhere. But this one that says Daddy, the black one that JB is wearing, is available through Kinky Cloth. Mm-hmm. Just use the code KinkyKayla. You save 25% off. So yeah, we're a house divided on our shirts today. But I have a feeling some of my #babygirl stuff is probably going to come out in this episode because, like I said, I'm in a mood. So now, yeah, you can now hit the magic button if you would like to. Whatever you want to do, Daddy, because you're the one in charge.
So much pressure.
Okay, so before we get into this week's episode, I do have a couple of announcements. One is about an upcoming class. We are not teaching it. It is a Kinkster friend of mine and somebody that I work with in a lot of different ways. Chase, I'm gonna fuck up his last name. Trammell? I always want to make it fancy. I bet it's Trammell. But yeah, so Chase is a kink educator and a kinky person, and he is teaching a needs-based communication class for kinksters to help people express their needs, advocate for themselves, talk about how to dissolve conflict and negotiate what you want with a partner. The links to the class and information on FetLife, so there's an Eventbrite link and then there is a FetLife link, are in the description box if you're watching on YouTube. The links are in the show notes if you are watching. No, you can't be watching a podcast, listening to the podcast. And the cost is very reasonable. I think it's he does it like on a sliding scale, anywhere from $5 to $10. It's a Zoom class, and it is on Tuesday, August 5th from 5:30 p.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. If you are struggling with communication, if you're like, I could use some actual education and help, Chase is a great human in general, very clear in his delivery on how he talks about things, very passionate about communication. One of the ways we have bonded over time, because I don't know if you've noticed, I'm all about that communication. And so I was so impressed with what I have seen of the class that I was like, of course I will tell the loving BDSM audience. So if anybody's interested, there you go. And then the next announcement is just a reminder that we do currently have a coupon code for Hot Octopus. If you are in the mood for a very specific sex toy, for a very specific body part, it's for the Pulse Duo Luxe. The coupon code is KALO15 for 15% off. That coupon code runs through August 24th. Again, all information is either in the description box on YouTube or in the show notes on the podcast. So yes, that coupon code is only for a specific item. No, I don't have a coupon code for Hot Octopus in general right now. I love the fact that people know to come to me to ask, but I'm always like, I hate disappointing people. But there we go. That is it. So communication class with Chase. Links are in the places. Coupon code if you're looking for a very specific sex toy for a very specific body part. Okay, so this week's did I say the wrong date on the class? I think according to the live stream, I either said the wrong date or they heard the wrong date. So let me reiterate. The date for the class is August 25th, Tuesday, August 25th. Click the links, read the information, because please don't rely on me. I'm clearly not a reliable narrator and passer on of information. Sorry, y'all, if I was confusing there for a second. So, okay, so we are taking a YouTube video trend that is years and months old now and doing it here. And we're doing it as both a podcast and a live stream because I knew if we ever did this video, it would not be one of our 20-minute videos. So why even do that to ourselves? Just do it this way. Yeah. So we asked on Instagram, because it was the easiest way to sort of house information and be able to go back to it, what assumptions people currently have, that they personally have about BDSM, DS, or kink, or what they had in the past. And what I love is y'all brought it. Y'all came to like share your assumptions, and I appreciate you. So I'm here holding my phone going back through all of them and making sure hopefully that I don't miss anybody, because that would hurt my feelings. Okay, so let's start going through them, and what we'll do is I'll read them out anonymously. I will not give away anybody's like handle or anything, and then we will either quickly or not so quickly chat about them. Okay, so the first one is assumption. Tell me if this sounds familiar. In order to be a dominant, you have to wear a 3-piece suit. Did you ever have that one?
Me? No, not really.
So I'm not going to lie. I find it very sexy to see, I have since learned, people of any gender in a 3-piece suit. I find them very sexy. But yeah, it's definitely a stereotype. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So on Twitter, there is a lovely human being and dominant person named, he goes by Master Venture, at Master Venture on Twitter. It's fucking hilarious. And he pokes fun at the stereotypes, because there are a lot of people who call themselves, they'll put air quote around the word dom here, and then all they do is play into every stereotype, and they offer nothing real and nothing personal and nothing human about it. They're just parroting every trope and cliche you've ever heard, including their picture being a headless masculine person in a 3-piece suit. And recently he screenshotted like a whole list of these air quote doms who had apparently followed him or he'd found on Twitter. Every single one of them was, their avatar was a black and white picture of a headless guy in a 3-piece suit, and it was hilarious. So the way this works is if you love wearing 3-piece suits, go for it. If they make you feel powerful, go for it. If you find them sexy, cool. It's definitely not a requirement. It's not.
No.
You are just as dumb when you're in your PJ pants as you are when you're naked, as you are when you're wearing jeans, as you are when you're in a suit.
Well, that's good to know.
You are damn sexy. in a suit.
You might be a little biased.
I am partial to people, and I do mean that. I used to think it was men because I didn't know any better, and then I started seeing people of across the gender spectrum. They would put on a blazer or wear a tie, and I'm like, oh, that's just hot in general. It's just hot in general. I'm here for it. But it is not the clothes that make the role.
No.
It is the attitude. It's the way of being. It's the way you see the world.
Person.
It's the person. It's everything but the clothes. The clothes can be fun, but yeah, they're not required. Okay, here's another assumption.
Okay.
And this one is, I feel this. I used to think I couldn't be a feminist and a switch that subs most of the time. I get a lot of questions from people either asking, oh my gosh, is my desire to be submissive as a woman a problem with feminism? Am I doing feminism wrong? And then I also get people who are like, what are your views on feminism and submission? And the way I look at it is, if you are able to enthusiastically and in an informed manner consent to and choose it, and it is a true part of who you are, that you are not coerced into, guilted into, forced into, and it is a legit choice, it is a feminist act, because the whole point of feminism is to create equal access and choice, not just among women, among all communities and identities. And so as long as you go into it with sort of that open heart of, this is absolutely what I want, then you're no less feminist than somebody who's like, I recognize it, I see it, and I choose not to do it. Obvious to me, I say obviously, to me it is obvious that if somebody says, oh, all women are submissive to men, well, fuck you and the horse you rode in, I'll know the fuck or not. That is then not a feminist thing. But to know what my options are, and to gleefully, willfully, happily choose this, and to know this is what's right for me, and to have the freedom to do that, and to also not look down on other people for making a different choice, to me, it's as feminist as you get. I mean, it feels a little subversive. I get it, especially if you're bombarded with the messages of, oh, women should never bow down to a man, and you're over there going, but I love bowing down to my man. I get it. There's a conflict there. I think that we do need to examine the why of what we're doing, and make sure it's not a societal push on us. Make sure it's not, this is how I was raised, so this is what I do. That we understand what our other options are and know we can choose anything, and then choose that. That's what makes it feminist to me. Do you have any thoughts?
I think you covered it all very well.
I'm feeling kind of fired up. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Here we go. Next assumption. They said this was an assumption from a long time ago. Only freaks do it. And they said, now I'm kinky, and while I get freaky, I'm certainly not a freak. And I would agree with that. I think I had that assumption in the early days, too.
I think that's
that only
easy.
Weird people did it. But except I'm a happily weird person now, so... I mean, some of the best people are weird.
Thank you.
Well...
I let my freak flag fly from a very young age. So.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. And we like that about you. I think that that's common though, because it's so that view of, ooh, weird people, freaky people, are into kink. I think that's a common misunderstanding, because one of the few times BDSM gets portrayed anywhere.
Yeah, it's...
We're not exactly portrayed in the best light.
No.
And also, for the majority of us, I think the first time we get to see something kinky is in a all dolled up in leather and harnesses and a leash and a collar and whips and chains, and we don't, our first view of kink is very rarely the reality of sitting around in your pajama pants on your couch in your house.
Because it's all done through porn, or it's through a very I can't think of the word. A very defined photo shoot.
Yes, a very specific story they're trying to tell with that imagery, for sure.
Yes.
And yeah, if it goes against what you think of as, let's put air quotes around this word, normal, then I think because of the way kink and BDSM are portrayed, that reaction makes sense. What I hope for people is that we, as in general, across all of humanity, become a little bit more comfortable with questioning. Like, just because that's what mainstream shows us, that's what society tells us. Like, I would like us all to question a little bit more. Like, but wait, what? And also, I think that, I know that as I've gotten older, the things that I took for granted as, quote, fact, air quote around that word, there's lots of air quotes, start a drinking game. The more, as I've gotten older, the more I've learned that things that I accepted as fact because some entity told me that was a thing, and then they've crumbled and fallen. The more I want to believe that I have learned that I need to question everything. I need to go find out for myself. The entity that told me the fact may be correct, but I need to know it to the best of my ability for myself. And I think that on the things that are extremely personal to us, sex, BDSM, pleasure, relationships, that is even more true. Because if we just accept what society tells us as fact, we miss out on so fucking much. Okay, next assumption. This will also be an episode where I get complaint comments about how I don't let you talk enough. You think I don't know? I know. Okay, next assumption. That movies show BDSM and things like that to be super intense. And then, of course, they learned that, of course, it doesn't have to be that way. And I think that's the other thing, that, yeah, you make the assumption that all kink, in the early days till you actually play with it.
Oh, yeah, that's something, it's portrayed as a very serious thing, very strict protocol. You never break that protocol. You know, it's, if you don't have a serious, mean, ugly look on your face, you're not doing it right. And you know what? No, have fun with it.
Some of our best scenes are when I'm laughing.
Oh, yeah.
God, I mean, not that that's not for everybody. We get that. But,
right.
Like, I legit have a good time when we're just laughing. Do you notice we're sitting in the dark here?
Yes, I know.
Okay,
it's
just
getting
checking.
darker out.
Sorry, we were using natural lighting for the video portion. Okay, so this one, I recognize it as a common assumption, and it makes me laugh, that all DOMs are mean hard asses who cause lots of pain. My experience is only if you ask nicely. No, of course, that is...
Or you do something wrong.
Or you're accused of doing something wrong, but you hadn't actually done anything wrong, but that's a whole other conversation. Can a dominant choose to be that way? Could that be their style? Of course that could be their style. But God, the spectrum of what it can mean to be dominant or submissive is so wide. It's infinitesimal. Like, however people can be, then that can be applied to dominance or submission.
Sure.
I mean, there are playful DOMs. There are what I've seen the term lately, soft DOMs.
There are sensual DOMs.
Yes, very much so. Mm-hmm. There are those that don't want to micromanage. There are those that do want to micromanage. And then the idea of pain, which is a very common assumption in BDSM, of course is not required. I think a lot of people fight with that one because they figure out...
That is something that people fight with a lot, and I think that is I'm going to jump in here with my own assumption. You can be that if you're submissive, you have to be a masochist. You have to like pain.
Sure.
If you're a dominant, you have to be a sadist.
Yeah.
No, you can be a dominant and be in a total power exchange without ever being a sadist.
Oh, for sure.
Okay? You can be submissive and not like pain. You can be a masochist and love the most intense pain and dive into edge play and not have a submissive bone in your body.
And let's be real here, because we've had conversations with people. You could be a dom and you can be a masochist, and you can be a sub and you can be a sadist. Like, there's no... Yeah. We're going to get into this because I think this came up, but I'll say it for like the 10th time that you'll hear this over the course of this entire episode. There's no one right way. Okay, next assumption. And this is, I think, too, a common one. Okay. I used to think it was only limited to impact play. That is a correct assumption in the way I mean that is it's a common assumption, not a correct assumption. And it's because I know we do this too. Our preferred way to play is impact play. So we talk about it a lot. We bring it up a lot as examples just for us. But, when people start talking about getting kinky, one of the first things they always mention is spankings.
Yeah.
Which is a common kink. A lot of people like that, even if they don't identify as kinky, they like spankings. But so I can understand why people would, from the outside, be like, oh, all we're doing is beating on people? Oh, okay. I mean, I'm here going, okay, I'm here for it. But other people see our previous comment, don't necessarily want that.
True.
Did you kind of feel that way about it? And then were you grateful to find out you were into it? Or did you come into kink with any assumptions about what the play aspect was?
Not really. Spankings was kind of a gateway kink for me.
I think spankings is a gateway kink for a lot of people. Yeah. Even if it's to learn that you don't really like it, but you like other things. Yeah. Okay, next assumption. I should have turned off my screensaver on my phone.
See?
I know. Here's a good one. That we had to have a collar and be super strict to consider ourselves a DS couple. No. Yes, I have heard that assumption a lot.
That is thought. To me, that's kind of an assumption I fell into in the beginning.
For sure.
But, a lot of that was because the local community I entered into at the time was primarily high protocol. Okay, so that's what I was introduced to. That's what I saw. So to me, it was like, oh, this is what it's all about. But as time went on and I branched out in the community and investigated other communities, I was like, oh, wow, no, there's a huge spectrum here from, high protocol where everything is very defined and proper down to,
whatever the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
What we're actually doing.
Yeah.
And I think part of that is the way popular media, mass media, fucks us over. Because if the first time you're ever introduced to kink is through that kind of imagery, then you assume that's what it is. Of course that's what you assume it is, because you haven't seen that it can be other things. It's why stereotypes and cliches for every part of life get taken as fact, because if that's all we ever see, then we assume that's the truth. And I, over the years, have talked to enough people who you could just feel the relief in their either voice or message, depending on the conversation, when they finally realized that this one narrow view of power exchange that they assumed was the way it was didn't have to be. To just figure yourself out and what works for you in kink it's freeing, because it kind of once you realize that there's no single right way to do any of this, then that means you can do anything you fucking want, and all it has to do is be meaningful to you and your partner. So, but yeah, exactly. I understand where those assumptions come from, even if I wish we did not have them. Yes, and I feel this next assumption very much. Oh, look, a light. That we had to do something kinky every day or every other day to be considered 24/7. Tell me how you feel about this. I've had my moments where I was like, are we really 24/7? Because I'm not feeling the kink so much.
I kind of have had that thought cross my mind. And over time, I've come to look at it, I mean, especially with things as they are right now, where, we have constant house full of people and we don't always get to do the things that we do when we want to. It's not the act, it's not the scene that makes us 24/7. It's the rituals and protocols that we have woven into our day-to-day lives.
And how we see each other.
Yeah.
If you are always daddy to me, and in my mind, you are always in charge, regardless of what we're doing, then we are always on, even if we don't necessarily feel like we're on.
Right.
We had a very heated discussion yesterday. I love pandemic life. And one of the things I, in my best baby girl way, put my foot down about was to never for once think that I'm not making decisions for multiple people in this household without contemplating how does this make your life better as the one in charge, as the one in charge of that thing, as the one in charge. Like, I'm at this point, part of it's my personal internal wiring, and part of it is this is just how we are in our relationship. So even when I'm like trying to make purely selfish decisions, because there's nothing wrong with that for the most part, I still am stopping to think, okay, how does this help? How does this benefit? How can I make this thing, how does this make John Brownstone's life easier? Like, that's an inherent part of who I am. Now, not every submissive feels that way or moves through relationships that way, and that's okay. But for me, that's how I know we're 24/7. Mm-hmm. If everything I'm doing, or nearly everything I'm doing, is with what you might want or need or will work for you or what you will approve of in my head, then I'm never turning it off at that point. Yeah. So, next assumption, that it's all dark and scary things.
It's not.
I mean, it's the dark side, but we have cookies, so...
I'll bring the milk. Okay, we're good.
I mean, I would like to think that we try to be a semi-public example. I say semi-public because we're not, like, big entities, but we're a public example of no. Sometimes I like dark and scary things, but mostly I don't.
That's true. That's not your...
I mostly don't like dark and scary things.
That's not your shtick.
No. I got way too much fucking anxiety for all that dark and scary shit. And again, it goes back to that same thing of if that's all we ever see, if that's all the little bit of kink-related stuff we get from media and society, then of course that's what we think. And you know what? I'll say this. As sexy as I find some of those black and white images from the old days of Tumblr, and there were some really sexy ones, I think that might contribute to it too. If everything you see is in really low lighting and really shadowed, then I wonder, what that does on a subconscious level to your brain of, oh, this is deep and dark and maybe not scary, but...
Well, a lot of those pictures, especially some of the more extreme ones, and even the little video clips they used to show, it was like in a basement or in an abandoned barn.
Oh God, everybody had dirty feet.
Yeah, and
lots of sweat.
Very subdued lighting.
Yes. Yeah. And I think if anything, as much as I love the internet and social media for connecting us and giving us access to learn about those things. Sure. One of the things that I personally am disliking more and more about all of that is that a lot of people are presenting just one teeny tiny sliver of what kink can be as this is it. And so then people see it and they go, but I don't like that. So there's that. I'm not into it. And there's a lot of overgeneralizations, I guess is what I mean. It
may make for a great scene in the moment.
Or in a fantasy.
But it's not the norm.
No, and it's not the only way, and it's not the necessarily for everybody. It's not the best way. It's, And some of it was... In that sense, if you find that when you go online and you're looking at kink stuff, you're only seeing the same things, at that point it's time to kind of cull the list of who you're following and branch out and look for other people to follow. I have gotten to a point, as much as I have zero problems with porn and certainly zero problems with kink porn in general, I've had to mute a lot of accounts because I'm like, I don't want to see all this in my timeline. I don't unfollow them. They're not doing anything wrong. I just mute them. I'm like, no, I'm not interested in, that's not, when I'm, right now personally, when I'm thinking about BDSM or kink, that's not what I'm envisioning, so I don't want that in my face, because the more we see something, the more, quote, normal that becomes, which is a good thing, but also sometimes detrimental, and feeds a lot of assumptions. Yep. Okay. We've already kind of discussed it, but I will make sure to mention that all subs like pain. We went over that. We know that's not true.
Right.
Because masochism is separate from submission. Now, speaking from my personal experience, there are times I will tolerate pain as a submissive act, but tolerating it, enduring it, seeing how much I can handle to submit, for me is a very different proposition from my masochist self that's gleefully like, hit me harder, daddy.
Yeah.
I mean, so, yeah. And even that was another thing, and this is a little bit off that particular assumption of all subs like pain, there is also sometimes the assumption that, if you say you're a masochist, you must like all forms of pain. And I've gone through my own sort of identity crisis, self-questioning of, I only like very specific pain under very specific circumstances. Can I still call myself a masochist? And I finally came up with, yeah, the fuck I can. So yeah, the fuck I will. So, okay, here's a good one. That being a sub meant that the dom would make all decisions for me, even when I go to the bathroom. You would have run screaming into the dark night years ago if that's how we did it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Now, are there relationships like that?
Sure.
Absolutely. Is that the norm for most DS
don't
relationships?
think so.
I really don't think so. No, absolutely not. Most people, submissives included, don't want to be micromanaged to that level.
I think realistically for the majority, again, there are always people who manage it, but for the majority of us, real life, living your fucking life outside of your relationship doesn't allow for that a lot of times. Now, does that mean you can't or shouldn't negotiate certain parameters where you ask permission or a dom oversees stuff? No, of course you can. We've done that before. We've done that many times before. But what I have noticed for us that happens is that works for a while, and then life shifts again, and then it doesn't work, and so we do something different.
Yeah.
So if that's what and then the other thing is, so some people see that and go, that's what I want. And then they try to live with it for about 5 minutes. They go, that is not what I want.
And
that's okay.
And that's what it is. Sometimes it's a matter of trying it and saying, oh, it's not what I thought it really was.
And then the other thing that I've noticed is people go all in. And so every decision, everything has to be decided by the dom. And one or both partners eventually get to a point of, oh, fuck no. And what some people will decide is that none of it works for them, but a lot of people feel sort of upset because they're like, oh, this doesn't work, so I can never do this. Well, no, you just need to back it off a little bit. Maybe half as much, maybe a third as much. You know, it's not that you throw the whole idea out because it doesn't work. Sometimes it's just that you tweak it and you find the balance for what works for you. And again, what works for you? We've got to stop comparing ourselves to other power exchanges out there, because
you have to do what's right for you and what you feel comfortable and what makes you happy.
Exactly. And to not be afraid of saying that makes me happy, and as long as I've got a willing partner that's consenting to being the other half of this, then I'm going to do what the fuck makes me happy.
There's nothing wrong with trying something.
Oh yeah,
for the sake of trying it to see if you like it.
I think all sex things in general, but we're here for the BDSM talk.
Yeah.
It's all a grand experiment. There's always something new to try. There's always something new to explore. And you try something that interests you. And if you don't like it, you didn't fail. It's just not for you.
Right.
And then you move on to the next thing, because believe me, there are an unlimited number of things to try in BDSM. There just are. Okay, so the next one is that, and we've sort of touched on this, that there's a true way to do everything, and you have to do it that way or else. Yeah, I am not here for the one true way bullshit. Okay.
You mean the my way or the highway kind of thing?
This is how it's done, and if you don't do it this way, you're wrong. You see a lot of that on fucking social media. I see a lot of it on Twitter because it's where I spend a lot of my time. I've been hearing some things about some, not all, but some people on TikTok that are kind of having that attitude. It is all ridiculous. Okay? That goes back to stereotypes. That goes back to just because it works for you and it's great for you and it's perfect for you does not mean that translates to everybody, nor does it. I think this is where people get all like twitchy about this stuff. Somebody else doing something drastically different from what you do does not negate the thing you're doing.
True.
Right? Me loving the carnivore diet. I'm going to go outside of the kink here. Me loving the carnivore diet does not negate the fact that you want to eat only plants, okay? I'm going to do my thing over here, and you're going to do your thing over there, and they both get to be valid. So me loving spankings and saying happily and gleefully, I want my ass beat, thank you very much, does not mean that you not liking that means you are a bad person, that you are doing something wrong. I think a lot of people take it that way. And I think that some of it, I'm not going to try and diagnose anything because I'm not qualified. I think some of it is an insecurity. It's we're not so sure about what we're doing. We're not comfortable in it yet. We haven't found our groove with it yet. And so when somebody else says that they are diametrically opposed to the thing that we're doing, we take it personally. And then you get the people who stand up and go, this is the way it's done because it's the way I do it. And that's the only way to do it. And that just compounds the problem. And I don't have any fucking patience for it. I don't have any time for it either. Like I don't fight that online. I just go, fucking hell. Okay, move on. And I'll just be out here like annoying the fuck out of the one true wayers by talking about how it's a spectrum and you can do it any fucking way you want as long as you got consent. I feel like that's the best revenge I can get.
There you go.
Just do the warfare thing that way. This is a good one. That you can only submit in a certain way and that will completely change you, that your submission will completely change you. So obviously we've already been up on the spectrum, no one true way. Of course you can submit any way you want. The thing I would say about the changing you thing, I think that's like everything else. It's highly personal. What I have found to be true for myself is that in my very personal, it's just a one-person experience here, it has allowed me to embrace who I really am, and in many ways who I've always been, but different things in life, society, culture, parents, whatever, upbringing, people around me, in different ways without realizing what they were doing, made me feel bad about it, made me think that there was something wrong with me. It's why when I don't talk about my entry into kink and like I had any shame I had to overcome. I was like, holy fucking shit, I make sense now. This feels good. So the longer we've been in our relationship, the longer I've explored who I am and what this means to be submissive or kinky or whatever, the more I feel like I've gotten more in touch with who I really am. And in my experience, that's been parts of me that I recognized as being there, but I kept trying to push away and push down and act like they didn't exist. I think that if other people have that same feeling of I'm discovering more of who I really am, I think they can also go in the other way of discovering parts about themselves that they didn't realize were there, that they had never been actively aware of. And it can feel like change. And it can feel like I'm a completely different person. I just think it's, if this is right for you and depending on how you view an act of submission or dominance, I think it can, for some people, put you more in touch with who you actually are. What do you think?
I'm going to be a little bit of the devil's advocate here. I think to a certain extent, done right, it can change you. Not in the way that, you think it's going to be like a wand is waved and
just a whole different person.
You're magically a whole different person. But I agree with what you're saying about the, finding yourself. It's the same way for dominance. You come into your own, you're like, oh, this is what it's been all along. But I think the other side to that, where change is possible, as a submissive, if you are with a dominant who in a healthy way pushes your boundaries, challenges your boundaries, and helps you grow, not just in a kink aspect, but in a personal aspect as well, then yes, gradual change can occur.
And I think the key word you said there is growth. Growth is not a wholesale cloth change.
True.
I'm still who I was. I'm just a better version. Now, growth can feel like a huge change, especially if you're finally in a happy, healthy place in your life and maybe you've never been there before, or you're achieving goals through the help of your power exchange that you've never achieved before. It can absolutely feel like change. And if you want to say that you have changed, I'm not going to tell you can't use that language. I just view it, the key word there is growth. Is growth.
Okay.
Because
if and sometimes choice of words makes a
semantics. It's all semantics. And the other thing is, my personal view is that that's who you always were. This is who I've always been. I just didn't have the tools or the capacity or the will or the push or the incentive or the whatever to get there. And sometimes we convince ourselves we just can't, when it's not that we're incapable. It's that there are other things standing in our way. And if kink helps you get to those places in the ways you want to move through the world, then I think you were always that person. Yeah. You just didn't necessarily feel it or see it yet. I think at the same time, power exchange relationships can also help you reduce unhealthy habits and unhealthy things about yourself. And that is also a form of growth. Mm-hmm. It's a shrinking of the negative that maybe you're not always so proud of, or that are not always helpful and conducive to your life otherwise. So maybe those things need to be let go. Again, I think it's still, the way I would view it, for me, you describe it for yourself however you'd like, I was always this person. I just needed help getting there.
You were the bud and you just needed to blossom.
Mm-hmm. Or I was the caterpillar who wouldn't stop eating, and then I made a chrysalis and now I'm a butterfly. It looks like change, and in some ways, I'm sure scientists will tell me how it's exactly changed, but I'm going to go with growth.
Okay.
Semantics.
Right.
Here is a good one, that everyone was an extroverted exhibitionist. As an introverted exhibitionist, I do understand this assumption.
Yeah.
Because think about it. Most of what our first views, if it's not in a reading, and we're not reading about BDSM, we're watching it through porn or through whatever, people are walking around either naked or like in some get-ups, y'all. And it is very easy to believe until you know better that everybody has to do that. How many times, and we've had these conversations before, how many of us thought that when you went to a munch, you were supposed to put your leather on and you're supposed to be like outwardly kinky? And then how many of us were surprised when now everybody's in their jeans and their t-shirts and their sweatpants? And, the way it gets portrayed in many venues is that everybody's like, woo, I'm here and I'm going to show it all off. And obviously that's not true.
Yeah.
But I do get that assumption for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have an assumption similar to that back in the day? You're a voyeur. You want everybody else to be an exhibitionist. I know.
Yeah.
You're like, I thought they might, and I was here for it. And I'm all over here like, no, I'm happy to be an exhibitionist, but under very specific parameters and very specific ways. And also, I don't want to talk to you while I'm exhibitioning. I just want to put my shit out there. This is a good one. A good one as in an interesting assumption, that you need to have a certain physical appearance to fit the role, whether dom or sub. So you had to look a certain way.
That's something that's brought across from the porn industry.
Yes.
And walking into Tumblr and seeing all the still images that exist there, because it's all the air quote beautiful people.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And the beautiful people by society standards. And so I mean, I see on Twitter a lot, I see people who are like, can we get more pictures of rope bottoms, bound and suspended, who are fat, who are disabled, who are not certain body types, please and thank you. And I'm definitely here for it. I've seen some beautiful images that weren't stereotypically attractive people. And I get that. I mean, you and I went through our own similar thing of, I was feeling all kinds of ways about being the sub and the baby girl and being an inch taller than you.
Yeah.
And that's not even about body shape or weight. That's just about height.
I fixed that real quick, didn't I?
You did.
Taught you a thing or two about that. But even when it comes down to body image, I mean, I love your curves. Okay?
Yes, I'm glad somebody does.
I have always loved your curves. And first time I took you to a dungeon, you were very self-conscious at first before walking in there. Until you walked in there,
I saw all kinds.
And you saw the broadest range of body types.
And that was the coolest thing. So I don't think people have to bare their body if they don't want to in order to make other people sort of feel comfortable. But if you are the type of person who is like, I'm at the dungeon, when it's safe to go to them again, y'all, I'm at the dungeon, I'm gonna get fucking naked and I don't care, that is more powerful than you realize, because the reason that I can just whip off my dress and just be there in my thong is because I saw other people whose bodies were similar to mine. I saw people whose bodies were radically different, but not what I was used to seeing, like in porn or on a magazine cover or whatever. It gave me the freedom and told me, oh, this is okay. I can do this. Because I saw somebody else do it. So we're not all required to do that. But if you are comfortable, you are doing that in those kink public places, you are doing more than you realize. You are helping more people than you realize. So, but yeah, and I think that goes back to all of the stereotypes we have about this, that your body doesn't have to be a certain way. You don't have to be a certain gender. You don't have to be a certain height. You don't have to have, it's for everybody. All that you have to have if you're going to be in a relationship, is a consenting partner. Like that. That's it. Okay, next assumption. This one I've heard before. I did not have this assumption, but I have heard this many times. And that is, if you get into the lifestyle, it automatically means you have an open relationship.
No.
Which, right.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
I kind of understand a little bit where this comes from, because I actually know a lot of people who are kinky and are highly monogamous. They're not interested in opening up their relationship. Right. And that's cool. That's totally cool. What I think is that I have seen from the view I have of the lifestyle and the community online is that more people who are into kink and open relationships talk about that. They talk about that in terms of exploring to find partners who want to play in ways that maybe a current partner does not. And I think that it makes sense for some people to go to find kink and then find polyamory or ethical non-monogamy, because you're already exploring one thing that certain parts of the world would say are deviant and awful and you shouldn't be doing. So what the fuck's there to stop you from trying something else, exploring pleasures, breaking assumptions about what it means to love and to have relationships and to have sex and all that stuff. But I think it's just a matter of that's who people who have platforms and are talking about it. I think that again, that's where these assumptions come from. If that's what you see all the time, then you kind of think that that's the norm. And of course it doesn't have to be. It goes back to know one true way, do it the way that works for you. And I have had conversations with people who are very intimidated because they're like, I don't want to have an open relationship. I'm like, you don't have to.
You don't have to.
I mean, I know people who had been kinky like most of their adult life, 20, 30, 40 years before they ever entered the kink lifestyle community, because they just were like, this is just a thing I do in my bedroom. Like, I think the majority of kinky people are just doing things in their bedrooms. They're not talking about it openly. So we're not seeing the array of humanity and how it does its kink.
True.
We're only getting very narrow examples. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. And I'll say this is an assumption I have about other parts of life. I think this is a very common assumption about life in general, not just kink, that everybody else knows what they're doing. I think we call this kinky imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like I might have a good grip on what we are doing in our relationship. And beyond that, that's only a sometimes. I feel like I'm just making it up as we go along.
Yeah.
I don't ever feel like I know. I mean, that could be the pandemic talking, though.
Well, there's that. I find that there are a good number of kinksters who have a preconception that they know everything. Okay.
Yep.
I don't know everything.
I don't want to be near a person who tries for anything, kink or otherwise, who does I got this, I know everything. Like, get the fuck away from me.
I am always learning. Whether it's kink or otherwise. Even, she got, I signed up for a couple workshops way back before
There was a pandemic.
there was a pandemic. And she was like, well, these are 101 sessions. Why are you signing up for 101 sessions? You do this stuff. It's like, yeah, I do, but you never know what you might pick up.
True.
And I have found that even when it comes to my woodworking, a lot of things at times I will look at different instructions, 101 stuff, because, oh, look at that little technique they're doing. It makes things that much simpler. So there's always something to learn. There's always something you can find that you can incorporate. So, it's an ongoing learning process.
And it should be. A lot of people roll their eyes on the cliche of the journey.
Yeah.
Pick another word, but essentially it's all, my new word has been process. It's all a process. The things I thought I knew about myself 5 years ago, I'm like, that was true 5 years ago, but I'm not sure that's true today. I mean, we learn the entire experience of life is about learning more things. Quite frankly, if you're not and you're standing still, then you're probably not having a good old time. And BDSM is no different. So you learn about things you didn't know existed. You learn new ways to try old things. You learn that you liked this 5 years ago, but it's not really working for you now. You learn that you like this technique over that technique. It's a constant. It's a constant. And I think that life ebbs and flows, so we go through cycles where we're not making a lot of forward movement. We're just holding in stasis for a while. We're doing what we know. And I know in our experience, we tend to have a little bit of a few steps forward kind of, change up and learn something new when we feel like we're stuck in that place. We're like, God, I'm kind of bored. Are you kind of bored? Yeah, I'm kind of bored. And then
let's step it up a little bit.
We do something new. But that, from my perspective, that just feels like life to me. In other aspects of my life, I've been that way. Like I can sit in the cycle of not really doing a lot and not really learning and growing for a while, and then I get to a point where I'm like, I don't like how this feels. Something's got to change, and that's when growth happens. That's when I learn something new. That's when I, try something new. Yeah. And I do think kinky imposter syndrome is probably a more common thing than, I don't think, if people are talking about it, I have not read or heard or watched that content, but I think that makes sense. Especially if you feel like you're still new, and you go to spaces where you feel like you're surrounded by people who have got a lot more experience than you. It's absolutely easy to think, oh, these people all understand this way better than I do. The thing that I would say that I think is mostly true is that the only thing anybody else knows is what's true for them. Kink educators might be the exception to that because they usually have a broader perspective because they're teaching certain topics. But when you're talking to a fellow kinkster at a munch and you're like, oh my God, they know so much more than me. They know what they need to know for them. True. They might know some techniques you don't know. They might have some ideas and thoughts that, yes, that's very true. But it's not like you're sitting there talking to the world leading expert on something. And even if you are, they should still be able to tell you, I've still got plenty to learn. I'm always learning. Like, be wary of a person who acts like they have nothing else to learn about a thing that they say they care about. Like, just a little side eye might be called for there. Because I'm going to give them side eye and be like, really? I barely know me. I barely completely know everything about myself. I really don't. So why am I going to act like I know everything about this one thing that I just realized was an actual legit thing in my mid-30s? Like, what? What? The hubris. The arrogance. Okay. And this is the last assumption we got in Instagram.
Okay.
And this one, this is really common. I thought, they said, when I was new, I bought into the assumption that as a sub, I could never say no. They did qualify, I know better now. I'm glad you do, because I would have immediately responded with, you can totally say no. You absolutely can say no. Now, where it gets sticky for some people is it depends on the nature of your relationship. So if you are comfortable and happy with a type of power exchange where, for the most part, your dom says do this thing and you do it, saying no will look different and feel different than if you have not negotiated a power exchange yet. Now, when you have not negotiated a power exchange at all, you're just meeting somebody, you're just feeling somebody out, you're just getting to know somebody. No is a great word. No, I'm not doing that. No. In our style of DS, we are very casual. If I want to say no to something that is previously negotiated, I don't say outright no, because we've previously negotiated it. I will bring it up as I'm having a hard time with this and I don't want to do this, and can we talk about it?
Right.
Because if we've previously negotiated something that I now want to say no to, then that is time for a conversation. There's something going on. We need to work on this. If, however, and this just happened quite recently, something gets brought up that we've never discussed before, best believe I'm going to say no. I'm going to say hell no. I won't say fuck no. That's a little rude. That
would get you in a lot of trouble.
Right. So even in our relationship, I could say there should always be a way in a negotiated power exchange for the word no. You might not call it no. You might have a process that you follow. When we're talking about kinks and getting kinky, no is always a complete sentence.
Mm-hmm.
And if you use them, then you have safe words. Like, I get that, but should always be a process for that. It is not topping from the bottom to say, no, I'm not comfortable doing that. No, I don't want to do that. No, that's outside my bounds. No, we did not agree to that. So no, that's not topping from the bottom. If a dominant partner cannot handle the word no, I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure they should be a dominant.
I mean, there are always going to be boundaries that, for whatever reason, and it differs person to person, there are going to be boundaries that should not be crossed. There will always be concrete hard limits.
Yes.
All right. So no is definitely going to be there.
And in the early days especially, anytime you're talking about what you want, what you need, what you're willing to do, what you won't do, both sides of the slash are always free to go, no, I'm not doing that. But it gets forgotten in the early days of relationships, especially from submissives who are like, but if I don't give this person everything they claim to want, they won't want me, and no dominant will ever want me. That is categorically untrue. And if you are a dominant who's negotiating with a submissive and they seem to be saying yes to everything you say, I would ask you to pause, pull back a little bit and go, are you sure? Like, investigate that a little bit. Make sure you're not dealing with somebody who thinks they're required to say yes to everything. I mean, one of the discussions that you and I had a lot early on, you would say things along the lines of, you will not make me mad if there's something you don't want to do. It is okay if you're not interested in some of these things or don't want to try these things. I don't mind if you need to say, we did that with safe words. Please use your safe word. Please say stop when we need to stop. Please tell me when things are too much.
I have less respect for somebody who will not use their safe word.
Right, because it makes you both unsafe.
Right.
At that point, it puts you both in a very potentially dangerous situation to not use it. But I understand why submissives don't want to or think that they shouldn't. And it breaks my heart when I hear that, because I think that, sometimes I can have a conversation with somebody where I can say to them, wait, would you say yes to everything in a vanilla context? And usually they'll kind of go, well, no. Then you don't have to say yes to everything in a kink context. We have not fundamentally changed what it means to be a functioning, healthy, consenting human by adding kink to it. Quite frankly, we've enhanced that. We've heightened those things. So you have the freedom of choice. You have the freedom to go, no, I'm not doing that. No, thank you. Does it become trickier once you're in an established relationship? A little bit, because you're navigating that specific power exchange. And quite frankly, if you have not yet figured out in your current power exchange relationship how to handle when, especially from a submissive perspective, you need to say no or I don't want to do that, like the moment you get a chance, work that out. What is that? What does that look like for you? Because those moments are going to come up, and you need to be able to deal with them. You need to feel like you can speak freely while still honoring the power exchange that you've negotiated, so that everybody is part of this and is hearing each other, and you keep the conversation and the dialogue open between the two of you. Because if what happens is you bury it and you go, I don't want this and I hate this, but I'm not going to say anything, all that happens is resentment builds, and eventually you explode. You explode in a way that ends a relationship, that breaks trust, that seems out of character. Like, there's all these different ways that it can happen, and the partner who had never been told that you did not like this, want this, whatever was the place you should have said no, they're left going, what the fuck is going on here? And now everybody's upset and nobody actually understands why and where it came from. And that's why the moment you have that feeling of, this is a no, even if I don't understand why this is a no, have a way to figure that out sooner rather than later, before it becomes a big blow up. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've had moments of small levels, because we talked about them and dealt with them, where resentment was building. And quite frankly, I was resentful of you being able to do a thing, not because you were doing something you shouldn't have been doing, but because I had somehow convinced myself I should not be doing that thing. And it was really more of a problem with me than it ever was with you, but I was taking it out on you because I didn't feel comfortable talking about it. Now try to keep up with those mental gymnastics. So, that, yeah. So those are the assumptions we received. Mm-hmm. I saw you in the live stream chat. Was there?
Yes, there was one that came through in the live stream.
Okay. Did you put it anywhere?
No.
You memorized it?
I put it in memory.
You put it in your memory, okay.
Yeah. And basically it was that in punishment, you're not allowed to use a safe word. And I call bull caca. Safe word is a safe word is a safe word, and it's to be used when it needs to be used. Just like in punishment, just like in a scene, punishment can sometimes be pushed a little too far. So,
yes.
A safe word is just as important to be used and respected during punishment as it is at any other time.
Mm-hmm. And the thing is if something happens... So whether we're talking about safe words or just that feeling of resistance of, I don't want to do this anymore, and this is true on either side of the slash L. Mm-hmm. When you feel that in a moment that was previously negotiated and you thought you were okay with, or maybe you had been okay with until a day before that moment, whatever, that moment might not be the time for the conversation, but there very shortly thereafter that moment, there needs to be a conversation about what is going on. Yeah. Because it might be that... So here's what I'll say. I've never liked punishment as part of our DS relationship. I have consented to it, but am I going to tell you I'm happy about it? Fuck no, I'm not happy about it. I'm pissed off about it. Of course the fuck I am. But when punishment was dealt out, I always understood why, and even if I did not like the fact that there was, quote, punishment, I understood it and agreed with it. Mm-hmm. In our heated conversation yesterday, that came up. And I pushed back. I pushed back against it because in that moment, in that situation we were in, I could not agree with it because I didn't think it was fair and fairly done and right to do. And in that moment, somebody's eyebrows went all the way up to their hairline. I did push back, and I don't normally do that. I might whine and cajole and like, no, I don't want to stand in the corner. Blah, blah, blah. But I go and I do it because these are the rules I'm happy to live under. This is, I'm going to avoid ever having this again in the future, but okay, fine. I did the thing. I acknowledge I did the thing. I feel like this is a fair application of the power dynamic. Okay, fine. But if I'm like we were yesterday, we're in the middle of a very heated moment, and that got bandied about, and I went, nope, nope, we're not doing that, because it didn't fit the parameters of where I will allow myself as a fully grown-ass woman to be punished by a partner in a power exchange. Like, we all, I think, have that limit and that level and that moment where we can go, I was okay with it under these circumstances, and I'm not okay with it under these circumstances. And that's okay too. So sometimes it's a safe word, sometimes it's a, I'm not. But the thing about that is when you find yourself in that situation, it's time for a conversation, especially if overall the relationship is mostly okay. Something needs to be talked about. There's something going on there, and it needs to be dealt with so it doesn't fester and then build resentment and then explode into something completely awful. So,
Yeah.
I think that's all I got. I mean, we could do this all day
Oh,
because
yeah.
there's so many assumptions.
So many.
And the assumptions go along with the episode we did ages ago about not ages. If time has no meaning in 2020, a previous episode we did about myths, because the assumptions tend to be myths. They tend to be false beliefs we have based on the limited information we had until we learned differently.
Right.
I've said this many, many times in past episodes. I will say it again because I feel like it is appropriate to this topic. I genuinely get a chuckle when some rando slides into my DMs, comments on a video, comments on a blog post, tweets at me, like whatever way they've decided to like show up and announce their presence. I get a legit chuckle when somebody says, you can't possibly be this submissive in this relationship. It's usually after a video. I did once have somebody make the comment, not because I was talking as much as I do. It's because of my physical size, and that in that particular video, I was like, I think my shoulder was a little ahead of yours, and that you were not like drastically bigger than me.
And see, that's people making assumptions, huh?
I know, and those I'm like, I cackle, like I cackle. They are hilarious to me because thankfully they don't hit me in all my imposter syndrome feels. I got those, y'all. They hit me in that place of you clearly don't know fucking shit, because you don't know fucking shit about me, and I can handle that. I don't like it. Of course, this is not an invitation for the haters, but when somebody puts their assumptions on me at this point in our relationship and in my life as a kinkster, I am so comfortable with who I am and who we are that it's funny to me, because it's laughable. It's not funny because it's humorous. It's laughable because I recognize what they're doing. So if you've not gotten to that point yet in your experience as a kinkster and your power exchange relationship, keep going. I think you can get there. I think you can find that place of comfort with who you are and what you're doing. We've sped our comfort level up because we talk about it for a living. Like 7 days a week, I'm living it. But I think that if we get there, then when we read an assumption like that about directed at us, or not even directed at us, but out there in the world, we'll roll our eyes more than we'll get worried or offended. Or, I mean, I get a lot of people who are like, I believe this. Somebody said they believe this to be true, but that's not me. And does that mean I'm doing DS wrong? And I'm like, whoa, no. So that if, for those of us who can find that peace and calm and comfort in who we are, the assumptions roll off your back more, and you notice them more. Yeah. You notice them much more readily and easily, because you know that even if it's true for you, it's not true for everybody. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this is one of those episodes I think we'll get the hate comments of I talk too much and how can I possibly be submissive, and
Okay.
We're going to stop now. We are going to have a bonus section. Don't worry.
To an end point.
We are going to have a bonus section.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's all I got.
All right. So are we good, girl?
I don't know. We'll pretend to be.
All right.
Keep it kinky, y'all. And we'll see you next week. We think. What y'all can't see is he was squeezing my leg when I wanted to ask, Daddy.
Yes, baby girl.
Please talk to the crickets.
Yes, you may.
Thank you. Yeah, he's squeezing my leg, and every time I would inhale to try and say something, he'd squeeze harder. What the hell, man? Okay, so
Keep me in check.
yeah, I know. Okay, so we are gonna do an emoji of the week. The problem is I don't know what this emoji is called. I believe it is technically a cricket emoji, but it's not the bug. It's the sport. And how did this come to my attention? In our Patreon Discord. Yes. So it's a paddle and a ball. If you type in the word cricket, if your phone or whatever does the auto thing and pops up an emoji, it is technically cricket the sport. So it's a paddle and a ball, but we want the paddle. So that's going to be our emoji. I told somebody in our Patreon Discord that we would make that the emoji of the week when we came back because of the paddle, only because of the paddle. So if you have that emoji in whatever system you're using, tweet it at us, email it to us, DM it to us. I've been for shit at DMs in every place but Patreon lately. Sorry, y'all. I just sent it to JB when what I meant to do was delete it. Oops. I texted you in the middle of the episode. You're welcome. But yeah, we're going to do that because paddles are fucking amazing. We love paddles. Okay, so do you want me to quickly talk about, just give a quick mention of where we were last week? Briefly. Okay, I'm going to keep this very brief. We did go into a little bit of detail at
Reader's Digest version.
At the YouTube Hangout on Friday night. Essentially, we did not have a podcast episode or a live stream episode or a video for this Monday, and probably not a video for next Monday at this point, if I'm being honest. JB had 2 deaths in essentially extended family. One was a longtime friend who passed suddenly over the weekend, and then the other was extended family, a very young person who had been sick his entire life and finally succumbed to the disease.
Yeah.
Right. So you can see how that would rock a person. And we're in a pandemic, so it's not like anybody's going up to anybody's house with a casserole and crying together. So we just sort of let you be for the week and a half. Yeah, it sucked, as you would imagine it would. We're mostly back. I do think that for anybody who subscribes to us on YouTube, normally we have a Monday video. I don't think we're going to have a Monday video next week either. I just don't see it happening. But we're here for this because I think you found when we did the Friday night hangout that Friday after thing.
It helped.
Yeah, being around our community was very, very good for us.
Yeah.
Now that we are in the bonus section, I will apologize to podcast listeners for this. Can we turn the fans back on? I know there will be a hum. Podcast listeners, I apologize. I'm sweating. I don't have balls. I'm sweating over here is what I'm saying. I was about to say that I was sweating my balls off. I don't have balls. So we are back. I do not.
Okay.
I do not. I sit like I do. I was raised at a time and a place and by people who wanted me to be, let's put air quotes around this word, ladylike. And I was like, actually, it's much more comfortable if I sit with my knees like 5 feet apart. And yeah, I didn't wear a lot of dresses as a kid as a result. So we are basically back. I think for different reasons. I think I'm finally at the point where maybe the pandemic is really getting to me too. We're both just sort of quiet in general though, because pandemic fatigue I think is a thing. So what else have you got for bonus section stuff?
Not much. I have been slowly, and I use that term slowly, getting the garage a little bit more organized, or even prepared to be organized.
Yes, you've been buying little things and putting little things in little containers.
Yeah, and I'm ready to see something more permanent done with that space now, and really get that going. And I've kind of been making plans in my mind of how I would like it to kind of sort of go, as for what's to be done, and kind of slowly maneuvering to put that into its place. If that makes any sense.
It does. The garage I think anybody with a garage or who's ever had a garage knows that if you're not careful, your garage can become total chaos in about 30 seconds. And we do not have the total chaos garage, but we came close.
Yeah, it came close,
and I think
that bothered even me.
Yeah, and I think it takes planning, like a certain amount of effort to pull back the chaos and make it like I see people down our street. Like you'll drive down the street when the garage. Okay, so we see two people. I was thinking of the good side. So we'll be driving through a neighborhood or down the street, and you'll see some of these garages where they just finally went, fuck it, chaos reigns. It's fine. We'll burn it when I die. It's fine. But then I see the people, and these are the people I'm jealous of. Like their garage is laid out in this beautiful, organized way where there's a spot for everything, and I just like I don't have like house envy. I don't have car envy. I have organized garage envy. And so, but to make sense of the chaos, I think you have to have a plan. I think you have to map it out. And so, but we had talked about once the weather cooled off a little bit, we would tackle it. It'd be like a weekend task job thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
And, somebody asked in the chat about my tool. Funny that should be asked. Just today I was thinking, I have not heard anything. And it was a month ago to the day that it should have shipped. Mm-hmm. And oddly, just before we went live and started recording, I got an email.
Do we have good news or any news?
It is some news because I was actually going to call them after we finished
recording.
Yeah. Yes, I got news. It's still on back order. Tentative shipping date at this point.
Oh.
October 1st.
Oh. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay. October 1st.
Yeah.
October 1st.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I mean, at least it's an update.
I know. I know.
I don't, there was a time pre-pandemics where I would go, time flies if you're just busy. And now time has no meaning. So, like, 1 week can take a year and 1 month can take 30 minutes. And so I can't even give you my optimist self that tells you, no.
So, Pascal, October. Apparently what happened at the time of the sale, which was the weekend of July 4th, the sale went through all the distributors for the company.
And everybody wanted one, didn't
and because of the price, apparently it was
they've got to make more. Is that what they're saying?
and then you figure in pandemic.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything is pushed back even further. So it'll be at least October before that. So I don't see me doing some of the things I wanted to have done prior to the holidays at that point.
Yeah.
There is another piece of equipment I'm looking to buying, and if you noticed, I haven't jumped the gun on that.
You haven't. You keep talking about wanting to buy it, but you don't buy it.
I think what I'm going to do is actually call the company first and find out what's going on with their shipping before I do anything.
Make sure they actually have it.
Make sure they actually have it and can send it out.
I don't know why you would do something like that. It makes no sense to me. I can't imagine.
Yes.
Yep.
So, I just got another confirmation on the items I bought at the beginning of June.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And because that's still on back order. You know, someone has said be canceling and looking for another vendor. It's not quite that easy with some of these tools. They're very specified tools, and you know, there is another vendor. Their track record is not good.
Yeah.
Not good at all. And I mean, yeah, I could have you know, I could have gotten that for the price I got this piece on sale price, but
Right, then you have to deal with, you've got the item, but then you have to deal with the crap from it not being a good product
Right.
or customer service not being
Right.
good. Yeah. No, I think it's one of those times we have to practice the dreaded P word.
yeah.
And it means, yeah, maybe you won't be able to do some things for the holidays that you had hoped for, but it means you might be able to start 2021 out with a bang.
Right.
So
Right.
my
And-
constant optimist can find a silver
Yeah.
lining. Give me a
And
second.
and I mean, you know, to a certain extent, I know I'm not the only person in this boat. A lot of companies are going through this right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, and
Yeah.
yeah,
it's the nature of it.
It's just crazy times right now.
Yup.
You know, and certain things, you know, somebody mentioned in the chat about, you know, across the board supply chain, and that's why too, certain things when I see them available, I do snatch them up.
Yep.
So it's yeah, it's a hurry up and wait. I mean, the tool that I'm waiting for, do I like waiting till October at this point? No. Is it a tool that I know in the long run will be well worth the wait? Yes.
Right. I mean, I can't believe I'm the patient one here. I think it's because it's not my fucking tool and it's not my shipment, and it's easy when it's not you. But that is the thing. You will get it
Yeah.
eventually.
Mm-hmm.
It means you have to shift plans, move plans around. Give me a moment, I'll find a silver lining, and we're gonna be fine.
Mhm.
It's just frustrating.
Right.
It's just frustrating.
Right.
I got nothing. I'm in a mood right now,
Mhm.
but I've also been reminded that I have not had. So when I use the term vacation, I don't mean go somewhere on a vacation. I use that in the term that I think most Americans do to mean I'm not going to work for a week. I have not had one of those in, I think, a year and a half. And I'm feeling it right now.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just cranky and tired.
Yeah.
And also, the kids start school on Monday, and I think that's stressing me out. Even though I feel like I made the best bad decision, because
Well.
the options we were given were all bad. The best bad decision. I did get to talk to the 10-year-old's 5th grade teacher yesterday. She sounds delightful. I was able to have that moment of, I know we're in a pandemic, but I'm very glad to be sending my children to school on Monday. And as a parent, she went, I totally get it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good, because I feel
think-
guilty about that.
I think it is an exercise in trust. We have educated them both as much as we can in what is going on with this, and we have to trust them that they are going to do the right thing. After hearing what the elementary school is putting in place, they are doing their utmost.
They're doing the best with
They're
what they can.
they're
with
doing
what they
the
got.
best that they can with what they've got, which to me shows they are trying. Okay. On a high school level, I know it's going to be tougher because you have masses of kids. You know, it's easier to distance kids, I think, in an elementary school than it is a high school. But even the high school is trying to do the best they can under the circumstances. And, we have to place a certain amount of trust and hope for the best.
Because we're in a fortunate position that we can.
Yes.
Let us be very clear
True.
there.
True.
I would not fault a parent for making the exact opposite decision of what we've made. Like I said, we were given 2 bad options, and I went with what is the least bad based on multiple parameters. But yeah, even the high school's putting out daily information of what they're doing and how they're doing it. And I know that it's a plan on paper. So once it hits reality and all those teenagers, it will not look like what their plan is on paper. But so I think that's, I'm a little amped up as well because it's a stressful, fraught situation. And at the same time, I'm like, please go back to school. Please go back to school on Monday. Can you stay longer than 7 hours? And I feel really bad about that. I'm not, normally I would be very gleeful. Like, I think most parents would be like, yes, school has started. And the rest of us are like, I don't think many of us are having that kind of feeling. And so,
You're in
I'm very twitchy.
You're in flux.
I'm very twitchy right now. I am, for those who have kept up with what we will call the Kayla Goes Grandma Chronicles, I am still deep diving into the world of quilting. I'm setting up a savings thing so that by the end of this year, early January, I should be able to buy the things I want to start quilting. So that is exciting and fun. I have started cross-stitching again. We put my whole station up for that.
Yes.
And I got 1,000 stitches done over the course of a weekend or so. If you don't cross-stitch, you don't know what the fuck that means. And it's okay if you don't. And if your eyes are glazing over because I said quilting and stitching, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine. I'm still lusting after fabric on Etsy.
Yes.
So yeah, that's just me right now, which is not at all fun or exciting or interesting. But yeah.
I mean, we'll
That's all I
we
got.
play it by ear and see what happens, and hopefully
even
if things go awry, the school system does the right thing.
Even the 5th grade teacher I talked to yesterday was like, we are going to be flexible. We have to be flexible to all this. So if school could shut down, it could happen. And quite frankly, that gives me the most hope because it's like, okay, if you're going to look at the data and make a data-driven decision, then I feel better than if you're making decisions that are more political in nature.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah. What I really need is a nap and a Diet Coke. Probably in that order. Can I get a Diet Coke, a nap, and then another Diet Coke? That would be great.
No, baby girl.
I also need a vacation.
Well, yeah.
Again, the American version of a vacation that just means I don't go to work for 10 days. That's all that means. Or 9 days, or whatever it is. Yeah, I believe my Brit friends call it a holiday, but they usually go somewhere. No, we're not doing that. Well, outside of pandemics, they go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got. That's all I got. I will say once again for podcast listeners, if you ever have the opportunity to come, just for even 10 minutes to pop into a live stream, the live stream chat is the place. They're having we don't even have, we could be talking about anything. I'm happy to share a recipe or something, and they're having really good conversations about the topic. So if you ever get the opportunity. But I am noticing that some people are joining us through the podcast world.
Yeah.
And that is exciting.
Yeah.
That is very exciting. We are now on, get this is so hilarious, we're on iHeartRadio.
I know.
I keep forgetting to mention it because okay. I was real excited when we got on Spotify.
Right.
That was exciting. So, yeah. But Okay, so I could keep talking, mostly because I'm procrastinating because I don't want to go do the things I have to do.
I know.
I know. But we're going to stop because
Yeah.
I think people have already tuned us out anyway, so it's fine. It's fine. This is fine. We will do our Friday night YouTube live stream hangout. They apparently are getting later and later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What, 12:30 last week?
Yeah, they were. It was.
We need to kind of temper that a little bit because I have to be up at dark 30 to take care of our elderly dog.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I thought you were going to say you had to be someplace on Saturday. And I was like, no you don't.
No.
So, yeah. But if you don't connect with us there, then podcast will be out next week. And more live streams and more and more and more and more. We're here. Okay, so I guess we have to stop talking now. Huh?
Yeah. Time to say we should probably say goodbye.
I suck at this. Okay.
All right.
We love you guys. We will talk to you, see you, engage with you in whatever way later.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.